Hello, everyone. Hello. It is so exciting to be here tonight. So, as you all come on into the room, I just want to say welcome. Welcome to Mind Matters with Dr. Jada, yours truly. For those of you who do not know who I am Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, licensed mental health counselor and licensed professional counselor supervisor. And I am located in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And I just love helping people. And so, what we're doing tonight is we are talking all things stress. All things stress. I have a couple of people who are going to come up and talk about their stress encounters and what stress means to them and why stress is stressful. And just know that we are all family. And if you have some stress issues that you want to talk about, by all means, put them in the chat, put them in the comment area and chat with us and let us know that, yes, you are human and stress impacts you just as much as it impacts anyone else. And also know that I would love for you to hit the like button for me on this video. Somebody told me not too long ago, it was like, I hit the like button the last time that I was on. And so just know that if you hit the like button last time, that was for that last video. So I'm gonna need you to hit the like button for this video. All right. So it is just a blessing for us to all come together and to talk about this interesting topic, which is stress. So one of the things I want to do just from the beginning is to define stress. Hey, blessed in every area of my life. Good to see you. Good to see you. I am, yeah. Ooh, somebody said I have 5 stress reducers. Well, Zach, I want to know what those stress reducers are. So go ahead and put those in the chat. I'm going to guess you have cats, if that is what you have. Listen, Zach says he has 5 stress reducers, and it looks like he has. Are those cats or dogs? Those look like cats. So looks like Zach has, yeah, he said, yes, got 5 cats. Believe it or not, and we could listen, y'all, we could do a whole session on emotional ESAs, emotional support animals. I write letters for those all the time, and people are like, I need it. I need to have an emotional support animal. I have one as well. I had 2, but one of my little babies passed away about a month ago. Listen, I'm still stressed out over that. I just want you to know that is a stressor. I have to manage that emotion every time I think about my little baby. So anyway, blessed in every area of my life said, I love to listen to relaxing jazz on YouTube. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm loving that. I am loving that. I am loving that. So let's just talk about what is stress. I want to lay the foundation. Hello there. Hello there. I see Hi says, I'm just blessed to be here. I am just blessed to be here. I'm so glad that you are here. So let's just talk about what is stress. What is stress? And so, believe it or not, stress is not necessarily your husband. Stress isn't. Some of y'all's like, I got 2 stressors in my house too. It's my daughter and it is my husband. And I'm like, yeah, those are conduits to stress. But when we are talking about stress, what are we really talking about? So stress is typically defined as a physiological and psychological response to, get this, perceived threats or challenges, which are known as stressors. And so that can ultimately exceed an individual's ability to cope effectively. So if the stressor or the perceived threat or challenge exceeds your personal individual ability to cope effectively, your stress levels may go up. So this response involves and many of you who know me, you know that I love educating. You know that psychoeducation is my jam. You know that I am going to take the sidebars for psychoeducation, but you've heard me talk about this. This stress response, of course, everybody knows what it is. Go ahead, type it in the chat. What is it called? What is the stress response actually called? But this response involves an interesting interplay between the mind and the body. And what it does is it activates this particular response. It activates this specific response. And yes, Miss Adrienne, you are absolutely right. She says the stress response, y'all. Yeah, the stress response. Fight or flight. Fight or flight. And sometimes it could be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So that is some of those areas. And so let's get a little bit deeper into this. So when we're talking about fight or flight, here's a breakdown of what that psychological stress looks like. So when we're talking about the perception of a threat or challenge, stress begins with you just ultimately perceiving that something is about to pop off. Something is about to go wrong. There is something that is going to challenge me in this moment. Something seems like it just might not go right. So once you enter into that state of mind, this perceived issue becomes so demanding and overwhelming that you really can't do anything except become stressed. Now, that's the perception of stress. Then there's the physiological response. When a stressor is perceived, and let's just choose a stressor. Let's just say something really small. Let's say something like being late to work. And you know you have an important meeting and you have to be on time for this meeting. And not only do you have to be on time for the meeting, but you really have to make sure that everything goes perfectly, because not only is your boss going to be in the meeting, but the director is going to be in the meeting. And the CEO said that they might stop by, and, you know, all the things, everything that causes us to stress completely out. So what does this look like? When that stressor is perceived, the body's sympathetic nervous system is immediately activated. And what it does is it triggers a series of physiological changes that are ultimately designed to prep our bodies to respond to whatever that threat is, whatever that stressor is. And so again, you all have heard me say this I say this all the time. It releases stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate starts to pound, and then your blood pressure goes up. And then all of a sudden you have this heightened awareness like, okay, y'all, it's about to go down and I need to be ready for it. I need to be completely ready for it. And so when we are in this space, remember, the world doesn't stop around us. As a matter of fact, it just keeps going. And it seems like things are moving so fast that at any given time, we either might fall out, or we might have a meltdown, or we might have a breakdown, whatever it is, however you respond to stress, that is about to happen. And so when we're talking about the physiological response, We're talking about how it impacts us in our bodies. That cortisol, y'all know that cortisol is the stress hormones that causes us to gain weight. The adrenaline, the heart rate, all of that is the physiological response. Now, there's also a cognitive and emotional response. So in addition to this physiological reaction that we have, stress also involves our cognitive abilities, or how we think about certain things, how we feel about certain things. And so some people might experience cognitive symptoms such as racing thoughts. Just put it in the comment area or in the chat area. How many of you know about racing thoughts? How many of you know about racing thoughts? Like, have you ever tried to go to sleep at night and your mind is just constantly racing, and it's just constantly going, and you're just like, whew, I don't know how I'm gonna go to sleep, but I can't get my mind to stop racing. My mind is trying to do a 5K right now. My mind is trying to just run the race with patience. And so that is part of it as well. And so understanding the cognitive responses are important as well. So sometimes those racing thoughts, we may have difficulties concentrating. We just may be caught in a negative thinking loop or pattern. And then the emotional stress can manifest itself as anxiety, fear, and irritability, or sadness. And so I'm going to take a break right there, because I just gave you a really quick psychoeducation course in stress. So remember, if you want to ask a question, I want you to ask a question. I'm going to talk to a couple of people. I'm going to bring them up on stage here momentarily to talk about how they manage stress. But I also want to know, how do you manage stress? How do you manage stress? Because stress can take you out if you don't have the proper coping skills, the proper coping strategies to get you from where you are on the outside to where you want to be. You got to get on the other side of stress in order for you to be productive. And so before I bring up our first guest, who's going to talk a little bit about forgiveness and stress, I just want to talk about a situation that happened with me. And y'all, let me tell you, I can be real honest sometimes to a fault, but I believe that if we can't be honest with ourselves and those around us, it's important, which is important. If we can't be honest, then we can't grow. If we can't look at ourselves in the mirror and see the flaws, then we can't grow. And so growing when it comes to stress means acknowledging that, yeah, there are very small, minute things that might trigger me. And the next thing you know, I'm in an argument with people that I love or people who are closest to me. But I was on Marriage Street, Mornings on Merit Street. And that is, if you're not familiar with it, it's Dr. Phil's new production company and or broadcast company. And it's really awesome. They're doing such a great job over there, bringing real impactful issues to the forefront. But we talked about what's called Zen dens. And that is just the ability to pull away, create a safe haven for yourself, and use it repetitively in order to get back to baseline. Now, I wrote an article about this on on our business website. And if somebody would just go over to my website, to the blog area, and pull the link for, pull the link for the Zen Den. I don't really like the word Zen Den. I like prayer and meditation room. And you can ask my husband. I am all about like the meditation and creating the space, and it has to smell a certain way, and the lighting has to be just right, and then the music I just put on my let me tell you, see, I'm going there right now. I can be right there in my space right now. It is so amazing. But I had an argument. My husband, he's like, you always talking about our stuff. Well, I got to be honest. I like to be honest, and I like to be transparent. It was my fault, y'all. It was my fault. That's all I'm going to say, is it was my fault. For those who know me, I do have a little pop off ability. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of the pop off ability. I'm not proud, but I'm honest. I'm honest about this pop off ability. And I know y'all probably saying, Dr. Jada, you're so sweet and you're so kind and you wouldn't dare pop off. You would, baby, let me tell you. We. So, but I know what my trigger was. I know it. I know what the trigger was. The trigger was whenever I get into a space where I feel like I'm doing the most and everybody around me isn't standing at attention and they are not on my page, because at that moment, my page is the only page. So if you're not on the page, you're about to catch the wrath. You're about to catch the pop off ability. Let me tell you. So yes, I can pop off, but I'm honest about it. And I just want to say thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Zach. And it looks like Zach says, the Brady Bunch DVDs. Is that how you get into your Zen space? What? Yeah, that's going back. I love it. I absolutely love it. But thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And for those of you, and I'll take this as a moment to just say, for those of you who don't know how YouTube lives work and how being in the whole YouTube community, of course, one of the things that you have an opportunity to do is to support this live content and support all of the content that we do here at Mind Matters by giving a super chat or a super sticker, by contributing in a variety of different ways. You can subscribe to the channel, of course, but you can also become a member of the channel. So that's how this works. And the more you are around, the more hopefully you will learn how all of this works. But I do thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, Zach says, just a way to chillax, easygoing family shows and music. Yeah, sounds like me too. All right. So with that being said, I needed to confess, y'all. I needed to confess. And the confession was that when I am stressed, sometimes I pop off. Sometimes, not all the time, because I have learned. And so if you read my article, if you also look at the video recap that I did from being on Merit Street Media, you will see that I go into depth about this. So with that being said, I am going to bring up just a wonderful person who is just, I can't even begin to tell you how incredibly amazing she is. But this is Miss Natasha Gibson, life coach, marriage coach, relationship expert, Natasha Gibson. And I asked Natasha um, to join because she wrote a really awesome article. And I'm going to ask again someone to go and grab that article and put it in the chat so people can read the article. But she has an amazing book. And so, Natasha, just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, um, all the things.
All the things. Well, first of all, hello, Dr. Jada.
Hello, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the invite to be a part of Mind Matters. I'm so excited. Just so awesome. I've shared it with you, how proud I am of you, and that the world gets to know more about you, what I already know about you, just being fabulous. Um, who I am. Actually, Dr. Jada and I met through a mutual friend around the COVID, around pandemic time, 2020, at one of your refresh bunches. And she was like, "You just got to meet Dr. Jada." And I was like, "Who is Dr. Jada? You just got to meet Dr. Jada. I could just so see you two working together and yada, yada, yada." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I go to the brunch. And of course, you friends invite you to places, you expect for them to be there, right? Well, she had to fly out, so she was not able to join me. So here I was. I'm happy I brought another friend, somebody I could talk to. Being an introvert by nature, I don't do groups very well. So my friend and I were talking, and Dr. Jada had a moment. I think it was like intercession or things like nature. But we basically, I went up, introduced myself, and stated our mutual friend. And she's like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you." She's been all nice and everything. So we pretty much I just let her do her thing. And later on, I was able to attend another fun event that she was having. And sure enough, our mutual friend was correct. I absolutely just love Dr. Jada. And we clicked. I think I helped out on a project, and we just clicked, and we've been together for ever since there. So, but as she stated, I pretty much, I just love helping people. I love helping women. I love helping and empowering women. And just overall, just seeing people just succeed, especially young people. I love the fact that because they don't have any responsibilities, right? So if you want to go travel, you can go travel. Whatever I can do, I'm an encourager by nature. So I'm always that, cheerleader in your corner, and just ready to rock and roll. So I'll share more along the way, but for the most part, I just think it's just an awesome platform that you have here, and I hope that many others are able to benefit and see the benefits of what you're able to offer and provide from your experience. So that's it in a nutshell.
I
I don't
love
like talking about myself, but I'm like, let's get to it.
Right. Come on, so let's go, let's go, let's go. So, Natasha, what I should have done was grabbed your book, because I, believe it or not, I keep it in. I have a little stack of books right next to my bed, and yours just happens to be one of them because I need
Aw,
it so much. Um,
aw,
but do you have your book with you? So, oh no, I
of
see it up
course.
there. Yeah, I do. I see it. Okay. So this is Natasha's book, and the reason why we're talking to Natasha today, because remember, this is Stress Awareness Month, and she wrote an article. What was the name of your article? It was
How unforgiveness fuels stress.
correct. How unforgiveness fuels stress. So, what am someone's asking, how can I follow Natasha? So, Natasha, will you please let them know how they can follow you and how they can get in touch with you and all the things?
So this is another part of Natasha that you guys get to learn tonight. So Dr.
Mhm.
Jada is working with moi. So I don't have a social media platform or anything of that nature. That's yada yada along here. But you can purchase the book on Amazon.com. You can actually find me on Dr. Jada's Total Life Counseling Dallas webpage as well.
Mhm. She is a certified marriage coach, and she does an amazing job. And so, with that being said, what I would like to do is I want to pull out of this, Natasha, and really let you speak about how unforgiveness fuels stress. And everyone who's listening, if you have questions for Natasha, go ahead, put those in the comments. We are watching the comments, but I just think that this is just an amazing opportunity to see stress from a different angle. Because, you know, a lot of times I talk about the mental and physiological impact, but when you think about stress, do we ever really think about how unforgiveness has the potential to fuel stress? So let's get it. Let's get at it. Natasha, I'm going to turn it over to you and you just do your thing.
Okay. All right. And you know how we roll. So just feel free for any questions as they come up. Happy to answer them as well. But I figured I'd just start with utilizing the article as a guide and just kind of fill in some things, maybe some extra questions you all have, and we'll just go from there. I hope that works for everybody. One of the things I want to start off with is Dr. Jada made a very good definition of what stress is. You know, again, she stated from the physiology and then from the psychological response to perceived threats and challenges. So one of the things I just want to kind of stop right there and just kind of dive a little bit is that perception, what perceived is. And so what I've always defined to my clients and to myself, put myself in remembrance, a person's perception is their truth until they learn the truth. A person's perception is their truth until they learn the truth. Think of it in this way. Most of the anxieties that we feel is because something has not happened yet, right? We perceive that I'm going to feel a certain way. For instance, if you're afraid of flying, you've never flown before, maybe you get ready to take your first flight. You perceive based on what you've heard and based on what other people are stating, maybe perhaps what you've seen on the news. We're not knocking it. We're not belittling it. It is a reality of how you're feeling in the moment, but it is a perception, which is your perception. And therefore it causes your physical body to create the emotions, which is what Dr. Jada stated, the rapid heartbeat, right? That's real to you. You get the clamminess of your hands, you get the sweats, you can't think, you're anxious, you got to get up, you got to walk around, you know, all these things, because your perception is that this is not going to be a great flight. The airplane's going to fall out the sky, or you're going to get in, and we won't even touch on if you are claustrophobic. But you hear what I'm saying? Your perception is bringing about those reactions. So how does one learn the truth? Until you actually experience the moment, the truth of the matter, then you can sit back and say, wow, that was a pleasant flight, actually. Maybe the stewardess or somebody, a good seatmate, you actually had great conversations. And then when you actually arrive at your destination, you realize, it wasn't as bad as I thought or I perceived it. That's the truth. So I just want to kind of set that tone there. Again, just kind of basic definition. But again, your perception is where you are. So I want to start there. This is about where you are. So if you wouldn't mind, just give me a few moments. And I really want you to think about where you are in the moment, not necessarily somebody else, because I know we could listen to stuff like, oh, this would be good for so-and-so. Somebody needs to be listening to this. No, I want you to just take a moment, and I want you to take yourself through what I'm about to share with you. Okay. So how unforgiveness fuels stress. And what I mean by that is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the act of releasing someone when an action or an offense has been committed that is perceived. Remember what we just stated, how we define perception, when it is perceived or is actually done against another. This is beyond just accepting an apology for a wrong. So with that being stated, one of the things I just like to tell people is that we have to remember that it's inevitable for us to hurt people intentionally or unintentionally. And it's also for us to do the same for someone else. So when we recognize that an offense has taken place, the Word of God tells us that we have to go to that person and we have to bring that ought, or we have to bring that offense to that person with the hope of winning their hearts back. So the piece of it is that I'm not coming to you to as Dr. Jada new word is, pop off on you. I'm coming to you because I'm legitimately concerned and I want our relationship to be restored. I want our relationship to be healthy. So this is something that we teach our clients, couple coaching or either individual, is how does that sound? Again, my perception that perhaps we were at a party or we were at a function and you made a joke, but to my expense, right? And I'll give you real life because I'm like Dr. Jada. My husband says, okay, you share a little bit too much at times. I'm just being real. I've been through too much. I just keep it real. I've copyrighted my story. I'm good. There's nothing anybody can bring back to make me feel any kind of way. So I'm free. But one of the things is I used to have very long hair. It was thick and I loved it. But when I got to a certain age, I was like, I'm done. We're good. So I've always kept my hair cut very short. Well, when my husband and I got married, and this is dating myself, but you all remember Holly Berry and how she had her new cut. Well, I love that. And I wore that style. And that's pretty much when I met my husband, how I used to wear my hair. But then, of course, you know, you get married, you kind of like, you go through some changes. And me, I was like, I don't really care about hair. I'm grateful for it. Thank you, Lord, for that. But I really don't care about hair to grow back, you know. So I eventually took it to this level. Well, my husband was like, you look cute, but. And I was like, but? I look good. You know, you have the confidence in your own self. I don't care what nobody say. So anyway, so he was like, I knew how he felt about it. Right? He preferred the long hair, but we got to that place, you know, we're good. But we were at a social event and someone complimented my hair and, you know, it was thank you. But he made a special remark, is what I like to call it. He made a special remark. Yeah, but she looks better with longer hair. I want long hair. You know, if I wanted short hair, I would have married her when she had short hair. I wanted, you know, the long hair back. And so I wasn't saying anything in the moment. But I just let that
I'm sorry. I just have to get in here. Those are fighting words.
See, that's when Dr. Jada would have popped off right there.
See, those are fighting words. I was like, no, I got to jump on. I got to jump on because, yeah, I know Mr. Thomas. We would have been rolling and I would just. Okay, I just had to say that.
See, now we just keep it real. We just keep it real. So in that moment, I was like, okay, we're not going to say anything. But later on, you know, I did address it. I brought the defense to him. Hey, when you said it really made me feel a certain kind of a way. I know how you don't feel it, but you need to keep that to yourself type deal. And he was like, well, it was the truth. And I was like, okay, I get you, but it just wasn't right time. So long story short, moving forward. Now I was able to let it go because I brought it to him. Now, in most instances, most spouses would have held on to that. And then it would come up 2-3 months later. Well, what happens with our brain is when we hold on to unforgiveness or we hold on to something, it literally prevents us from being creative. Because do you not know that we have over 60,000 thoughts a day? And, you know, women, we use a lot of our words. You know, we have about 17,000 words a day that we speak. You know, I don't know how they take count of them, but anyway, but we got a lot of words and we're going to use all of our words. But the average person, 60,000 thoughts a day. And you think I'm going to just kind of stew on that one thing. I got other things to think about. So that's what happens when you don't forgive in the moment. You're constantly reliving those moments and therefore you're constantly reliving it. So now your body's going to start reacting to that. So in that moment of what unforgiveness does, it actually starts breaking down the neurons that's in your body, neurotransmitters in your mind. And then it starts breaking down because what your mind begins to think, everything, your body starts reacting to it. So now you get the pulsating heartbeats, right? And everything that's related to your heart, the blood pressure and all those things really starts kind of going in a place to where you don't want it to go over a long period of time. So the forgiveness piece of that, of course, there's a process that we walk you through and everything. But what I want to just say here around why unforgiveness fuels the stress is because what you're actually doing is you're reliving those moments. And you've got to find tools to be able to let it go, not in a fictitious way, y'all. I'm not saying that, okay, we good, whatever the case may be, because there was moments I still thought about that because it hit the core of who I am. But at that moment, every time the thought would come, I had a tool in place and I was able to let it go. And ultimately, when you do that, then you can truly walk in your freedom. So that's what I'm saying. You've got to be able to find your tool in place. What do you do so that you can get through it and emotionally be able to handle it, not in a fictitious way, but in a real way where you can literally live your life out.
I love that, Natasha. The reason I popped on is because you said something, and they're going crazy in the chat over here. Just a lot. There's just a lot of stuff going on. But one of the things that you said, it made me think about what I tell my clients all the time, and that is that you have, like, if you're going to forgive, it's not just a one-time situation. You need coping skills to
Yes.
continue to make the decision to forgive, because it's like building your muscle, right? And
Mhm.
you want to bulk up and gain muscle, but you don't do it by doing it. You don't gain that muscle by working out and bench pressing the right amount of weights one time.
Right.
It's a process, and it's something we have to do over and over. But somebody said something in the chat, and I really wanted to bring it before you because I didn't want to ignore it. And I think it's right in the vein of what you're talking about when we're talking about forgiveness. Um,
Mhm.
but blessed in every area of my life says, I've I've had a difficult time fully forgiving my mother for deceiving me about my biological father, even going as far as involving me with other men under false pretenses for financial gain. When she
Mhm.
finally disclosed the truth, I learned that my father had already passed. And then she says, I was raised, it says, an hour and a half from my father. So, situations like that, when we're talking about forgiveness, and since you are already kind of in the throes of forgiveness, and again, just so you all know, disclaimer, this is not a counseling session. We're not giving advice. But in these very difficult situations, how might someone choose forgiveness in a situation like that? Because it is so impactful.
Yeah, one of the things is just for consideration is those are the moments when you can say, okay, what can I control in this moment? Right? We can't control the past. It has happened. We can't control a person's reason or decision why they chose to hold that information for so long or to not be truthful along the way. But in that moment, it will be like, okay, what can I control? And what I can control is truly how I can deal with this in the moment, seek some therapy, seek some help, or someone who can you really can trust and just relay information to, and that you can really identify emotions. And I believe that once you identify those emotions and how it really hurt you, and you're not suppressing them, then that's where the healing can really begin. And with that being said, is now you're able to take that because I'm just a believer that there's always an opportunity for you to share that will help others heal. Not maybe the same exact story, but something similar, like someone who's been lied to, someone who's manipulated. And you can take from your hurt and your pain and share that to help others become healed in the area as well. So again, the controlling piece of that is I can't control what somebody else has done or what decision that they why they made those decisions. But what I can control is give them understanding and then be able to say, what do I want from this? I want to be healed. I want to be whole. I want to be able to move forward with that and not allow it to take away from another day from your ability to be able to live a joyful and happy life. I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. Like I said, the chat is like is on fire, and I love that. I love that you all are just so involved in this. There's just so much to say here because I want everyone to be able to um, have a piece of Natasha. But Ronell says something that I think is interesting. He says, preparing to forgive, huh? He said, dang, that's tough, especially when you lose that trust.
Oh,
And we've all been there.
yes.
We've all, and you know what? I think that trust is sometimes can be so much more difficult, or I'm sorry, forgiveness can be so much more difficult when you're in a highly committed relationship, i.e., marriage, and
Mm-hmm.
you're and something happens, like you said, that cut to the core of your identity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do
And
you
Dr.
recover
Jada,
from that?
yeah,
Yeah.
one of those things is that you just have to identify, like I said, why did it hurt? There's some stuff
Mhm,
that I always make, and we all can, especially if we're married, we can relate. There's stuff that our spouse can say, we be like, oh, and we can move on real quick.
mhm,
And there's
mhm,
stuff that's
mhm,
kind of like, I'm stewing on that for a little bit. And
mhm,
one of the things I just like, you and I, we both say it, sit with it.
mhm, mhm,
Why
mhm.
discover? Do a
Yeah.
discover. Why did that really get to me? Why did that really get next to me more so than usual?
Yeah.
And I like to use an analogy, is my filter clogged? And what I mean by that is when you have a filter and it's clogged with other stuff. Maybe you're already dealing with high pressure performance at work, or maybe you're dealing with a sick relative. You're already dealing with so much, and then those comments come, and it's kind of like it didn't come across correctly.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so that's what we just have to, again, we got to exercise that muscle every day. We just have to take it through. Again, what can I control in that moment? I can
mhm.
control by letting you know how that offense made me feel.
Yep.
And by you doing that, you are standing up for yourself. Now, I get that sometimes another issue too is that we're not comfortable with expressing our emotions. And that's another thing is, again, expressing where you are. Again, it's your perception until you learn the truth, and expressing your emotions. We
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, I was sitting there looking at something that you had given out when we went through our certifications. Learn the different emotions and learn how to put language around the emotions that are to your core, so that when someone, I like to call invade your core, then you're
Mhm.
able to speak to that and articulate more eloquently.
I love that. I love that. Zach has a question and says, is not holding a grudge but not forgiving the same difference? Hmm.
Not holding a grudge, but not forgiving the same difference.
So I'm not
Can
going
you?
to hold a, yeah, I'm trying to fit. Hey, Zach, rephrase that question for us so we can check. Cause I kind of think I see where you're going with this, but I want to make sure I understand the question. So rephrase
Yes.
that question for us.
Yes.
Um, I put this other one up, Tosh. Um, Ashley said capacity versus capability is a major
Mm,
life lesson I had to learn in life
yes.
and gain through tears and wisdom.
Mm,
Capability speaks to someone, capability speaks to if someone knows how,
yes.
capacity speaks to if someone is able to. They are
Yes.
different but necessary. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, that's
That's good
good right
stuff right
there.
there.
That's
Yeah, I
good.
love
Good
that.
nugget. I like to call those nuggets. That's a good nugget right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's another way to identify, is that person even capable? Again, if they're not capable because they don't have the knowledge, remember what we said, a person's
Mhm.
perception is their truth. If they've never learned the truth of how their behavior is, right,
Mhm.
that they've
Mhm.
always coined it or boxed it that, well, that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Mm, you
Mhm.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if they've never learned to people skills, social skills, all those things, to
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
better whereabouts and being aware, self-aware, again, that emotional intelligence is not there. Well, then how can I ask you to perform or to relate to me on the level that I am when you're not there?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
am I going to stress myself out? No, the best I can do in the moment is to say, hey, when you said or when you did, it made me feel. Now that releases me, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Owning it and taking responsibility. I love this. There's so many wonderful comments in the chat, but I am going to hit on this one. Trophy of Grace says, I also believe that false narratives about what forgiveness really is will contribute to not forgiving. That's
Absolutely.
good stuff right there.
Absolutely.
And then there was one other one that I thought, oh yeah, that's good stuff right there. I'll come back to it once I scroll because it just keeps going so fast. But I know I jumped in, Natasha, but is there anything else you want to talk about as it relates to your book and it relates to like the key nuggets in your book that people really should take away from this moment?
Yeah, one of the things my husband and I, we from our book, this was our first book, and as a matter of fact, you know, we just enjoyed doing projects together. So we kind of started out like his story, my story, so you get my perception again, right, my truth. But we took it some different perspectives in the beginning about our story, what brought us to that point, and why forgiveness is so important for us. Again, beyond an apology, and I'll just share just a little snippet of it. But basically, my husband and I, we were married for 8 years, and then we end up divorcing. I presented the divorce papers with him, and you have to get the book and read the story. Is the reason why. But when we got back together, he actually, you know, he was in prayer, and he was just like, what just took place? How do we get back to where we are and we're good? So these 5 steps were developed, and he came to me and he says, hey, what do you think about this? And I was like, wow, that's exactly it. I mean, literally, as I was reading, I could see us going through what we had gone through to get to where we were. And I said, it's missing something. And it was that last step. And it was, and it's a six-step process to forgiveness is what the book is, and what we walk through, and we use it to this day. And that 6th step is boundaries. And that was so important. And what we do is we break it down. We actually have titles or roles for that person. As I mentioned, if you have an offense, we call it the offended, the offender. And there's different roles each person play, because it comes from a place of where, you know, saying I'm sorry, who does that really involve? One person, you, right? And so what we've done is we've broken the forgiveness process down to help you identify. One is we have to acknowledge the offense. You've got to someplace acknowledge, you know, what the hurt is, and you've got to be able to put language around the emotions, not just I'm happy or, you know, I'm sad. But if it's a deeperness in that, take the time to, what is that about? And then being able to have the other person, and it doesn't always have to be your spouse, but in this case, because we're talking about marriage, but in this case with your spouse, being able to hear you, because now, again, this is where you're coming from. You're not blaming. You're not saying, hey, you made me feel, you were the fault of all this. No, it says, when you said and when you did, it's factual. It made me feel. And that gives that person the opportunity to says, wow, was it my intention to make you feel like that? No, I was just playing around. You know, we're always joking, yada, yada, yada. Okay, but it wasn't my intention to make you feel that way. Will you forgive me? And we ask the question, will you forgive me? And it's more than I'm sorry, because in basically we want to utilize the power of what forgiveness is about. And that's the reason why in my article I wrote about, I think that sometimes we use words too loosely and we don't really fully understand the meaning of it and the power that those words have. Forgiveness is a very powerful word. And so once you bring that to the attention and someone actually sits with it and says, wow, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Will you forgive me? You're asking a question. And so the person, you know, says, yes, I forgive you. And it sounds like you have an option in there, but we teach based on scripture. When you think about the principle of the foundation, that God really doesn't want us, gives us an option. And he says, choose life, choose death. So choosing life is saying, okay, I want to do these things because my heart is that I don't want to cause my spouse harm. My heart really is for my spouse, and I want to seek first to understand, then to be understood, right? So when you go there, it just gives you a whole different connotation. So that's what we walk you through in the process of forgiveness, the effects in marriage. Unforgiveness is truly the detriment of stress. It truly is a detriment of any relationship. You think about, unfortunately, I've lived it, family members not talking for years because they can't forgive a particular situation. Again, what is it in that moment that you can control, what you can't control? And listen, boundaries may be, I love you from a distance. That's okay. Forgiveness is not about reconciliation in terms of you got to go talk to them every day. It's the reconciliation of your heart and where you are. So I think that's the onset, and I think that is what we want to make sure we convey. When we talk about what forgiveness is, we realize the hurts out there, and my heart goes out to those who have been hurt in a way. But I just want you to be empowered to be able to put words around your hurt, words around the offense, and to let others know that it's not okay. This is how your action or your response made me feel. If you have that opportunity. Now, what happens when you don't have the opportunity to be able to go to that person or be able to talk with that person, or maybe this happened 30 years ago, then all the more reason says, are you giving that too much power today? If it happened 30 years ago, are you still giving it too much power today? And so now it's just a matter of you working through your healing and being able to maybe write a letter to that person. You don't have to mail it, but just the mere fact of getting it out of your system, getting it out so that you can articulate, you can see it, you can read it, and then being able to, as Dr. Jada stated earlier, putting things in place that you'll be able to move forward. Those tools, those having your quiet space, your room, and however way you want to name it. And I love Zach, because I love animals too. But if that's a copinism that you have to help you move forward, identify what you need in the moment and not what somebody else's need, so that you can be healed and enjoy the life that you're meant to live. So that's all I have to say around that.
Hey, thank you.
We just go through too much. We ain't got time to be stressed all out.
I love it. Natasha, thank you for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please just put in the chat, Natasha, and just thank Natasha for her wisdom. Thank her for sharing her story, for being honest. Natasha has a powerful story. I thought she was going to get into it tonight, but she dropped just a little nugget and then she pulled back. Go get the book. Read the book, because she has a powerful story. So, Natasha, thank you. Going to have you come back. We definitely will have you come back. And so with that being said, everyone, we are coming to the end of the hour. And you guys, again, you are tearing this chat area up. There are so many, I can't get to all of them, but just know that it does my heart glad to see you all just really supporting and showing up. And Natasha, that was such a great story. I love surrounding myself around people who are not only genuine, but just able to be true to self. And being true to self sometimes mean you have to reveal things about who you used to be and how you got from where you were to where you are. And all of us have a story. And it's just an absolute blessing to be around people like Natasha. And so with that being said, everybody, we're going to start to wrap up here. But what I'd like to do, I'd like to give away some stuff. Y'all know I like giving away stuff. I did not ask Natasha this, but hopefully she'll just go with me. But I'd like to give away a couple of coaching sessions, Natasha. Is that okay? Just nod your head. And if you like, no, that's cool too. She's nodding her head. So what I am going to the question that I say, the first person that puts it in the chat can get either an individual coaching session with Natasha, or look at me pulling in Thomas, or a marriage coaching session. I'll have to see what Thomas says. But here's the question. How many years was Natasha married when she asked for a divorce? How many years? How many years was she married when she asked for that divorce? Blessed in every area of my life, Natasha says 9 years. Is that accurate? I don't think so. Okay, I didn't think so either. Oh, Miss Webster says 8. I think that is the accurate. I think 8 is accurate. All right. Yep. I think that Miss Webster got it. Miss Webster is going to get a couple of marriage sessions with the Gibsons. This is amazing. Congratulations. Tech will reach out to you and make sure you get those 2 sessions with the Gibsons, and hopefully it will be a blessing to you in your life. And I swear by them. All right. That is it for us. This has been fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. I see a lot of people in the chat that I know. There are some people who are here that I do not know, but it's just amazing to have you all here. So here are some things I want you to remember about the community. I am in the process of building this community. And so in building the community, one of the things that I want to do is provide a space for us to be able to talk about real issues. And in talking about these real issues, essentially means that we have to be real. So I'm going to push you all to be real. We are here every Tuesday, and you know that you can hop on and chat. You'll see the next live go up. I see a ton of people in the chat saying vote Trump, Danny and somebody else. I don't know what they think. They're just jumping in the chat saying a ton of stuff. And hey, it's all good. It's all good. Everybody, you can vote for whoever you want to vote for, because we are free to vote for whoever we vote for. And we have free moral agency, and we live in a free country. We live in America, and it's all good. So fantastic. So everybody, I'll see you next Tuesday. And do me a favor, tell all your people. Tell all of your people to come and join us. And I hope to see you next week, next Tuesday, same time, same place. See you then. God bless you all. Bye-bye.